The dinner plate slips from Emma Cole's hands at exactly 8:47 p. M on a Tuesday that will change everything. She sees it falling in slow motion, the white porcelain spinning through the air of Salvatore's, Manhattan's most exclusive Italian restaurant. Her body screams at her to catch it, but her right leg refuses to cooperate. That numbness again, spreading from her hip down to her ankle like ice water through her veins. The plate shatters against the marble floor. Linguine and clam sauce explode across expensive leather shoes. The shoes belong to a man in a $5,000 suit who stops mid-conversation to stare at the mess. "I'm so sorry," Emma breathes, already bending down despite the shooting pain in her back. "I'm so sorry. Let me." Her leg buckles. She catches herself on the edge of the table, knuckles white, trying desperately to stay upright. The dining room blurs. 50 tables, 200 of Manhattan's wealthiest, all turning to watch the clumsy waitress make a scene. "Miss, are you all right?" The man's voice sounds far away. Emma forces a smile. That practiced expression she's perfected over 6 months of deteriorating health and mounting terror. "I'm fine. Just tired. Long shift. I'll get someone to clean this up right away." She limps toward the kitchen, each step an exercise in not collapsing. Her right leg drags slightly. The numbness has been getting worse for 3 weeks now, ever since the accident that wasn't really an accident. Behind the kitchen doors, she leans against the steel prep table, breathing hard. Her hands shake as she pulls out her phone. 11 missed calls. All from the same number. The number she's been avoiding for 48 hours. A text appears as she stares at the screen. "Time's up, Emma. Where's my money?" "Emma?" Marco, the head server, appears beside her. He's 19, working his way through community college, always kind to her. "You okay? That's the 3rd plate this week." "I'm fine. The lie tastes like ash." If your friend enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. "You're not fine." Marco lowers his voice, glancing toward the dining room. "Look, I know it's not my business, but you're scaring me. You can barely walk tonight. And those guys who came looking for you last week." "What guys?" Emma's blood goes cold. 2 men, expensive suits, wrong kind of expensive. "They asked the hostess about you. Said they were friends, but..." Marco trails off. "They didn't look like friends." Emma's phone buzzes again. Another text. "Your daughter gets out of school at 3:15, right? PS 118. Such a pretty little girl." The world tilts. Emma grips the counter to keep from falling. "I have to go. Your shift doesn't end until midnight. I have to go now." She's already untying her apron, her movements jerky with panic. "Tell Tony I'm sick. Tell him anything." "Emma." But she's moving, limping through the kitchen toward the back exit. Her leg screams with every step. The numbness has spread to her foot now. She can barely feel the floor beneath her. Outside in the alley, the November air hits like a slap. Emma fumbles for her phone, dialing with shaking fingers. "Lily?" Her daughter's sleepy voice answers on the 3rd ring. "Baby, are you at Mrs. Chen's?" "Mommy, you woke me up." Lily is 6 years old, small for her age, with Emma's dark hair and her father's green eyes. The father who died 2 years ago in a construction accident, leaving Emma with a mountain of medical debt and a desperate choice she'll regret for the rest of her life. "I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Just lock the door, okay? All the locks. Don't open it for anyone except me. You're scaring me." Lily's voice goes small, frightened. Emma closes her eyes, hating herself. "I'm not trying to scare you. Mommy might be a little late tonight. But I'll be home soon, I promise." She ends the call before Lily can ask more questions. Her daughter is staying 3 blocks away with their neighbor while Emma works the dinner shift. It should be safe. Mrs. Chen is a retired school teacher who adores Lily. The building has a doorman. But Vincent Russo's text message echoes in her mind. Such a pretty little girl. Emma starts walking, her right leg dragging behind her like dead weight. The pain in her back has become a constant companion, a souvenir from 3 weeks ago when Vincent's men accidentally bumped into her on the subway stairs. She'd fallen hard, crashing down 12 concrete steps, while commuters stepped over her crumpled body. The ER doctor said she was lucky. Just bruising, some soft tissue damage, maybe a pinched nerve causing the numbness. It would heal, but it hasn't healed. It's gotten worse, and Emma can't afford to go back to the hospital. Can't afford the CT scan the doctor recommended, because every dollar she has goes toward the debt that's swallowing her alive. $30,000. That's what she borrowed from Vincent Russo 8 months ago, when Lily needed surgery for a burst appendix. The hospital wanted $15,000 up front. Emma's insurance, the bare minimum plan waitresses can afford, covered almost nothing. She'd already maxed out 3 credit cards paying for her husband's funeral. She'd been desperate. A coworker knew a guy who knew a guy. The money came fast, no questions asked. The interest rate seemed reasonable. She hadn't understood the compound interest. About the fees. About what happens when you miss a payment because your daughter gets sick again, and you have to choose between medicine and your loan shark. $30,000 has become $57,000 in 8 months, and Vincent Russo wants his money now. Emma's phone rings. Not a text this time. A call. Vincent's number glows on the screen like a threat. She answers, her voice barely steady. I told you I need more time. Time's a luxury you can't afford, Emma. Vincent's voice is smooth, educated, nothing like the thugs who work for him. He sounds like a stockbroker, which maybe he was before he found more profitable ways to make money. You've had 8 months. You've paid me back exactly $12,000. At this rate, you'll owe me forever. I'm working double shifts. I'm doing everything I can. Clearly, it's not enough. A pause. I have a proposition for you. Emma's stomach turns to ice. She's heard about Vincent's propositions. Girls who borrowed money and ended up working it off in ways that destroyed them. I won't. Relax. Vincent's laugh is sharp. I'm not interested in that particular business. Too messy. No, I have something else in mind. There's a restaurant I need access to. Salvatore's, actually. Where you work. Emma stops walking. She's on 5th Avenue now, the street alive with late-night crowds and yellow cabs. Her reflection stares back from a darkened storefront window. Small, exhausted, limping. What do you want with Salvatore's? That's not your concern. All you need to know is that I need someone on the inside. Someone who can leave a door unlocked. Look the other way at the right moment. No. The word comes out stronger than Emma feels. Whatever you're planning, I won't help you. Then I'll expect $57,000 by Friday. Cash. Vincent's voice goes cold. And if I don't get it, well, accidents happen, Emma. You know that better than anyone. Your husband's accident, your accident on the subway, it would be terrible if something happened to Lily. Emma can't breathe. The street spins around her. Don't you dare. Friday, Vincent says. Think about it. A simple favor, or a lifetime of looking over your shoulder. Your choice. The line goes dead. Emma stands frozen on the sidewalk while the city moves around her. A couple laughs as they pass. A businessman argues into his phone. A taxi honks. Normal life. Continuing while hers crumbles. Her leg gives out. She catches herself against a building, gasping. The numbness has spread to her entire right side now. She can barely feel her arm. Miss, you need help? A concerned voice, an elderly woman with kind eyes. I'm fine, Emma whispers. Then louder, forcing the words out. I'm fine, thank you. She's not fine. She's the opposite of fine. She's a single mother with a 6-year-old daughter, a body that's betraying her, and a debt she can't escape. She's trapped in a nightmare with only bad choices ahead. Emma pulls out her phone again with numb fingers. She needs to call someone. But who? Her parents are dead. She has a sister in California who hasn't spoken to her in 3 years. No close friends, just coworkers who have their own problems. She's alone. The realization sits heavy in her chest as she limps forward, each step harder than the last. She has to get to Mrs. Chen's. Has to get Lily. Has to keep moving even though her body is shutting down and her mind is screaming. Emma doesn't see the black SUV pulling up alongside her. Doesn't notice the back window rolling down until a voice cuts through her panic. You're hurt. It's not a question. It's a statement, delivered in a low, controlled voice that makes Emma's head snap up. The man in the back seat of the SUV is watching her with dark eyes that miss nothing. He's maybe 40, with black hair touched with gray at the temples, olive skin, and the kind of face that belongs in old paintings, all sharp angles and aristocratic lines. He wears a black suit that probably costs more than Emma makes in 3 months. I'm fine, Emma says automatically, still walking. Or trying to. Her leg drags worse now. The SUV keeps pace with her, barely rolling forward. You can't even walk. I said I'm fine. And I say you're about 30 seconds from collapsing on this sidewalk. The man's voice carries absolute certainty. Get in the car. Emma stops, turning to face him fully. Fear and fury war in her chest. I don't know you. I'm not getting in your car. My name is Alessandro Santoro. I own Salvatore's, where you just ran out mid-shift, looking terrified. His eyes narrow slightly. And unless I'm very wrong, someone's threatening you. Emma's phone buzzes. Another text from Vincent. Still thinking about my offer? Clock's ticking. Alessandro must see something in her face because his expression shifts. Not softer exactly, but focused. Intent. Like he's solving a puzzle. Get in the car, he says again. Or fall down out here and hope someone calls an ambulance you can't afford. Your choice. Emma hates that he's right. Hates that her leg is completely numb now. That her vision is starting to blur at the edges. Hates that she's run out of pride along with options. She reaches for the door handle. Her hand shakes so badly she can barely grip it. The door opens from inside. Alessandro leans forward slightly, his hand extended. Careful. Emma doesn't take his hand. She uses the door frame to pull herself up, dragging her useless leg behind her. The leather seat is impossibly soft. The interior smells like expensive cologne and danger. The door closes. The SUV pulls smoothly into traffic. Where do you live? Alessandro asks. I'm not going home. I need to pick up my daughter first. Mrs. Chen's apartment, 447 West 83rd. Alessandro nods to his driver, a broad-shouldered man who hasn't spoken. The SUV changes direction. Emma leans back against the seat, exhaustion crashing over her. Her leg throbs dully, the pain finally breaking through the numbness. She can feel her pulse in her temples. Too fast, too hard. What happened to your leg? Alessandro asks quietly. I fell. People don't fall and get progressively worse for weeks. His voice carries that same certainty. Someone hurt you. Emma turns her head to look at him. Really look at him. Alessandro Santoro sits perfectly still, his hands folded in his lap, his expression unreadable. But his eyes are sharp, assessing, missing nothing. Why do you care? Emma asks. You don't know me. You've worked at my restaurant for 6 months. You're punctual, professional, good with the customers. You've never caused problems. Alessandro pauses. Until 3 weeks ago when you started dropping things. Walking with a limp. Looking over your shoulder like someone's hunting you. Emma's throat tightens. I didn't think anyone noticed. I notice everything. Alessandro glances at her phone, still clutched in her hand. It buzzes again. Especially when someone's putting pressure on my employees. Bad for morale, worse for business. Emma almost laughs. Of course, it's about business. About his restaurant. Not about her at all. I'm sorry I made a scene tonight, she says carefully. It won't happen again. No, it won't. Alessandro's voice is matter of fact. Because you're going to tell me who's threatening you, and I'm going to make it stop. The casual confidence in those words makes Emma's stomach flip. You can't? For the first time, something like amusement touches Alessandro's face. Miss Cole, I've owned restaurants in this city for 20 years. I know every player, every angle, every person who matters. If someone's threatening one of my people, I can absolutely make it stop. Emma wants to believe him. God, she wants to believe him. But she's learned the hard way that promises from powerful men usually come with strings attached. What do you want in return? She asks bluntly. Alessandro studies her for a long moment. Nothing. Nobody does something for nothing. I'm not nobody. His voice drops lower. And you're under my protection now, whether you believe it or not. So tell me, Emma Cole, who hurt you? Emma's phone buzzes again. Vincent Russo's name glows on the screen like a curse. Alessandro sees it. His expression doesn't change, but something cold and dangerous flickers in his eyes. Vincent Russo. I should have guessed. Emma's blood turns to ice. You know him? Everyone in this city knows Vincent Russo. Alessandro's voice could freeze water. Loan shark. Extortionist. Thinks he's untouchable because he has friends in the DA's office. He looks at Emma. How much do you owe him? 57,000. Alessandro doesn't even blink. And the original loan? 30. Emma's voice cracks. My daughter needed surgery. I didn't have the money. I didn't know I didn't understand the interest. You didn't understand that predators like Russo make their money by trapping desperate people in debt they can never escape. Alessandro pulls out his own phone. What's he asking you to do? Emma hesitates. But what's the point of hiding it now? He wants me to leave a door unlocked at Salvatore's. Help him rob the restaurant. If I don't, he says she can't finish. He threatens your daughter. Alessandro's voice is flat, final. Of course he does. That's his pattern. The SUV pulls up outside a modest brownstone on West 83rd. Emma can see lights on in Mrs. Chen's second-floor window. I need to get Lily, Emma says, reaching for the door handle. Wait. Alessandro's hand catches her wrist. Not hard, but firm enough to make her pause. His skin is warm, his grip steady. Listen to me carefully. Vincent Russo will never threaten you or your daughter again. That's a promise. Emma meets his eyes. You can't promise that. Yes, Alessandro says quietly. I can. Because Vincent Russo just made a fatal mistake. What mistake? Alessandro's smile is cold, predatory, nothing like the polite expression he probably shows his restaurant customers. He went after someone under my protection, and I don't forgive that. He releases her wrist. The driver is already opening Emma's door. Get your daughter, Alessandro says. My driver will wait. You're both coming home with me tonight. We're not going anywhere with... Emma. Alessandro's voice cuts through her protest. Your leg is barely functional. Vincent. Russo knows where you live. He's threatened your child. You have two choices. Come with me somewhere safe while I handle this, or go home and hope his men don't kick in your door at 3 a.m. Emma closes her eyes. He's right. She knows he's right. But accepting help from this man, this stranger with cold eyes and colder promises, feels like stepping off a cliff into darkness. Why? She whispers. Why are you doing this? Alessandro is quiet for so long Emma thinks he won't answer. Then, so softly she almost doesn't hear it. Because nobody should have to beg for help when they're being hunted. Now go get your daughter. Emma climbs out of the SUV, her useless leg dragging behind her. She makes it to Mrs. Chen's door through sheer force of will. Lily opens the door before Emma can knock, her small face pressed against the security chain. Mommy. Hi, baby. Emma's voice breaks. We're going on an adventure tonight. Behind her, the black SUV waits in the darkness, its engine purring, like a threat or a promise. Emma doesn't know which yet. She's about to find out. Mrs. Chen opens the door fully, her weathered face creased with worry. She's 67, barely 5 feet tall, but her eyes are sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. Emma, what's wrong? You look terrible. I'm fine. Emma forces brightness into her voice for Lily's sake. Her daughter stands in flannel pajamas decorated with cartoon stars, clutching the stuffed rabbit Emma bought her 3 Christmases ago. We just need to stay somewhere else tonight. An emergency at the apartment. Water leak. It's a terrible lie. Mrs. Chen's expression says she knows it, but the older woman just nods slowly, helping Lily gather her backpack and school things. You be careful, Mrs. Chen whispers as Lily runs to get her jacket. Whatever trouble you're in, be careful who you trust. Emma wants to laugh. Too late for that advice. She's about to climb into a stranger's car with her daughter because a loan shark is hunting them. Carefulness doesn't exist anymore. Lily emerges wearing her purple jacket inside out, one shoe untied. Where are we going, Mommy? Somewhere safe. Emma kneels down, ignoring the screaming protest from her leg. She ties Lily's shoe with shaking fingers. With a friend of Mommy's from work. What friend? You never talk about friends. Because I don't have any, Emma thinks. Because I've been too busy working 70-hour weeks to keep us alive. His name is Mr. Santoro. He's very nice. He owns the restaurant. Lily's eyes widened. Your boss? Are we in trouble? No, baby. We're not in trouble. The lie tastes like poison. We're just gonna stay at his place tonight. It'll be like a sleepover. Emma straightens, nearly falling when her leg refuses to support her weight. Mrs. Chen catches her elbow. How long has your leg been like this? The older woman asks quietly. It's fine. It's not fine. You need to see a doctor. I can't afford. Emma stops herself. Lily is watching, with those 2 wise eyes that have seen her mother struggle for 2 years. I'll take care of it. Thank you for watching her tonight. Outside, Alessandro's driver stands beside the SUV, expressionless as stone. He opens the door as they approach. Lily shrinks against Emma's side. It's okay, Emma whispers. I promise. Inside the vehicle, Alessandro hasn't moved. He looks exactly as he did 10 minutes ago, perfectly still, perfectly controlled, dangerous in a way Emma can't quite define. His eyes shift to Lily, and something softens fractionally. You must be Lily. His voice loses some of its edge. I'm Alessandro. I work with your mother. Lily stares at him with the brutal honesty of 6-year-olds. You're scary. Lily. Emma's face flushes. But Alessandro almost smiles. Almost. Smart girl. You should be careful around scary people. Are you going to hurt us? No. The word is absolute. I'm going to keep you safe. That's different. Lily considers this with the gravity of a judge. Finally, she nods and climbs onto the seat, clutching her rabbit. Emma follows, her movements awkward and painful. The SUV pulls away from the curb. Emma watches Mrs. Chen's building disappear, feeling like she's cutting the last rope tethering her to normal life. Where are we going? Emma asks. My apartment. Upper East Side. Alessandro glances at Lily, who's pressed against her mother's side. You'll have your own room. Security. Everything you need. I can't accept. You can and you will. Alessandro's voice brooks no argument. Vincent Russo's men are probably watching your apartment building right now. They'll wait until you come home. Maybe tonight. Maybe tomorrow. But they'll come. Emma's arms tighten around Lily. Her daughter doesn't need to hear this, but there's nowhere else for her to go. No way to shield her from the reality they're living. Mommy, what's wrong with your leg? Lily asks suddenly. You keep making a face when you move it. It's just sore, baby. From when you fell on the subway? Alessandro's eyes sharpen. Tell me about the fall. Emma doesn't want to relive those moments of terror when Vincent's men surrounded her on the platform, when the crowd was too thick for anyone to see clearly, when hands pushed her toward the stairs and she went tumbling down. 3 weeks ago, Emma says quietly, I was leaving work late. The platform was crowded. 2 men, they were waiting for me. They said Vincent wanted his money. I said I was working on it. They said I wasn't working fast enough. Then they pushed me down the stairs. Lily has gone very still against her side. Emma strokes her daughter's hair, hating that she's hearing this. I fell 12 steps, landed wrong. My back, my leg, something got damaged. The ER doctor said it would heal, but it hasn't. It's getting worse. You need an MRI, Alessandro says. Could be a herniated disc, nerve damage, something structural. I can't afford an MRI. I can. Alessandro pulls out his phone, typing something. I have a doctor, discreet. He'll see you tomorrow morning. I don't need, Miss Cole. Alessandro looks up from his phone, his dark eyes meeting hers. You can barely walk. In another week, you might not be able to walk at all. Whatever pride is stopping you from accepting help, swallow it. For your daughter, if not for yourself. The words land like a slap because he's right. Emma has been ignoring the worsening symptoms because fear and denial are cheaper than medical care. But what happens when she can't work at all? When she can't take care of Lily? Okay, Emma whispers. Okay. The SUV turns onto Park Avenue, entering a world Emma has only seen from the outside. Doormen in uniforms, trees planted in perfect rows. Buildings are so expensive she can't imagine what the apartments inside must cost. They pull up to a building with an Art Deco facade and a doorman who moves immediately to open their door. He doesn't even blink at Emma's waitress uniform or Lily's inside-out jacket. Good evening, Mr. Santoro. Marcus. Alessandro steps out, then turns back to help Emma. She wants to refuse his offered hand, but her leg won't support her weight anymore. She takes it, his grip firm and steady as she hauls herself out of the vehicle. The lobby is all marble and gold. A chandelier that belongs in a museum hangs from the ceiling. Emma's shoes squeak on the polished floor. She's acutely aware of how out of place they look. A limping waitress and her daughter in cartoon pajamas, invading a world where everyone probably has trust funds and summer homes. The elevator is the size of Emma's entire apartment. Alessandro presses the button for the penthouse. Of course, the penthouse. Lily is staring at everything with wide eyes. Mommy, this is fancy. Very fancy, Emma agrees quietly. Alessandro says nothing. He stands with his hands in his pockets, watching the numbers climb. 10, 15, 20. The silence stretches, uncomfortable and thick. The elevator opens directly into Alessandro's apartment. Not a hallway, not a lobby, just straight into a space so vast Emma stops breathing for a moment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Central Park, the city lights glittering like fallen stars. The furniture is all clean lines and expensive leather. Art that might be original hangs on walls the color of cream. Everything is pristine, organized, controlled. It looks nothing like a home. It looks like a showroom for people who have everything and feel nothing. The guest rooms are down that hall. Alessandro points left. Second door. There's a connecting door to a smaller room with twin beds. For Lily. This is too much, Emma says. We can't. You can. Alessandro moves to a bar cart, pouring amber liquid into a crystal glass. You will. The alternative is going home and waiting for Vincent's men to break down your door. He takes a sip, his expression unchanging. I don't recommend that option. Lily tugs Emma's hand. I'm tired, Mommy. I know, baby. Let's get you to bed. Emma limps down the hall, each step in agony she tries to hide. The guest room is larger than their entire apartment. A king-sized bed with white linens so crisp they look unused. A bathroom with marble counters and a tub big enough to swim in. The connecting room holds 2 twin beds with quilts in soft blues and greens. Lily climbs into the closest one, still clutching her rabbit. I don't like it here, she whispers. It's too big, too quiet. I know. Emma sits on the edge of the bed, smoothing Lily's hair. But it's just for tonight, maybe tomorrow. Then we'll figure something out. Is the scary man going to hurt those bad people? Emma's chest tightens. How do you explain violence to a 6-year-old? How do you admit that sometimes the only thing that stops bad people is someone scarier? Mr. Santoro is going to help us, Emma says carefully. He's going to make sure the bad people leave us alone. How? I don't know, baby, but I trust him. The words surprise Emma even as she says them. Does she trust Alessandro Santoro? This cold, controlled man who owns restaurants and moves through the world like he owns that too? Maybe not trust, but she believes him when he says Vincent won't threaten them again. There's something in Alessandro's voice, his eyes, that promises he keeps his word. Emma stays until Lily falls asleep, which takes longer than usual. Her daughter keeps jerking awake, startled by shadows in an unfamiliar room. Finally, exhaustion wins. Lily's breathing evens out, her small hand curled around her rabbit's ear. Emma stands, her legs screaming. The numbness has faded slightly, replaced by pain so sharp it steals her breath. She limps back to the main room. Alessandro sits in an armchair by the window, his tie loosened, that glass of whiskey in his hand. He doesn't look up when Emma enters. Is she asleep? He asks. Finally, Emma lowers herself onto the couch, across from him, trying not to wince. Thank you, for this, for helping us. Don't thank me yet. Alessandro's eyes remain fixed on the window, on the city below. I haven't done anything. You got us off the street. That's something. That's the bare minimum. Now he looks at her, his gaze sharp. Tell me everything about Vincent Russo. When you borrowed the money, what he said, what he asked for, everything. So, Emma tells him. The whole sordid story spills out David's death 2 years ago. The construction accident that crushed him under falling scaffolding. The hospital bills, the funeral costs, maxing out credit cards just to keep the lights on and food in the fridge. Then Lily's appendix burst 8 months ago. The emergency surgery. The hospital demanding $15,000 upfront before they'd operate on her daughter. I was desperate, Emma says, her voice hollow. I'd already borrowed from everyone I knew. My credit was destroyed. The hospital wouldn't wait. So, when a coworker mentioned someone who could help, someone who didn't ask questions, you went to Vincent Russo. Alessandro's voice carries no judgment, just cold fact. I went to Vincent Russo. Emma closes her eyes, remembering that first meeting. Vincent in his expensive suit, his office that looked legitimate. He'd been kind, understanding. He made it seem easy. He gave me $30,000, said I could pay it back over 2 years. The interest seemed reasonable, 12%. Compounded weekly, Alessandro says. With late fees, with processing fees, with any fee he can invent to keep you drowning. I didn't understand that part. Emma's voice cracks. I thought I could handle it. I took extra shifts. I worked myself into the ground, but the payments kept growing. I missed one payment when Lily got sick again. Just one. And suddenly I owed $45,000 instead of $30,000. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Alessandro sets down his glass with deliberate care. When did he start asking for other forms of payment? 3 weeks ago, after the subway incident. Emma wraps her arms around herself. He called me in the hospital. Said if I couldn't pay with money, I could pay with access. Said he needed someone at Salvatore's to help with a job. What kind of job? He wouldn't say. Just that I needed to leave the kitchen door unlocked Friday night, let his men in after closing. Look the other way. Alessandro's jaw tightens fractionally. It's the only sign of emotion he shows, but it's enough. He's planning to rob the restaurant. My restaurant. I think so. Maybe safe. Maybe something else. Emma meets his eyes. I wasn't going to do it, even if it meant I wasn't going to help him. No, Alessandro says quietly. You were going to keep working yourself to death trying to pay back a debt that was mathematically designed to be unpayable. How noble. The sarcasm stings. What else was I supposed to do? Ask for help. From who? Emma's frustration boils over. I don't have a family. I don't have friends with that kind of money. I was handling it. You were drowning. Alessandro stands, moving to the window. His reflection is a dark shape against the city lights. And Vincent Russo was holding your head underwater, waiting for you to stop struggling. The truth of it sits heavy in the room. Emma has been drowning for months, maybe years, working 3 jobs after David died, cutting every corner, skipping meals so Lily could eat, ignoring her own deteriorating health because doctors cost money she didn't have. What happens now? Emma asks. Vincent wants an answer by Friday. That's 3 days. Friday doesn't matter. Alessandro turns to face her. Vincent Russo won't be a problem by Friday. You keep saying that. But how? He has men. He has connections. He has friends in the DA's office who make his problems disappear. And I have more. Alessandro's voice is flat, final. Miss Cole, do you know what I did before I owned restaurants? Emma shakes her head. I built them. Construction. Development. 25 years in an industry that's controlled by very specific families in this city. Alessandro moves closer, his footsteps silent on the hardwood floor. Families who don't appreciate outsiders like Vincent Russo trying to muscle in on their territory. Families who especially don't appreciate him threatening people under their protection. Understanding dawns slowly. Emma has been so focused on survival she hasn't asked the obvious questions. Who is Alessandro Santoro really? How does a restaurant owner recognize Vincent Russo's name immediately? Why does he move through the world with such cold confidence? You're not just a restaurant owner, Emma says slowly. No. Alessandro stops a few feet away. I'm not. I own restaurants because they're profitable and legitimate. But my real business is making sure this city's construction projects happen smoothly. Making sure the right concrete gets poured, the right permits get approved, the right people get paid. Emma can't say it. I'm connected, Alessandro says simply. To families who've run this city's infrastructure for 100 years. Families who don't take kindly to loan sharks like Vincent stepping on their toes. Emma should be terrified. She's in the penthouse apartment of a man who just admitted to being part of the Mafia. With her daughter sleeping in the next room, she should grab Lily and run. But she doesn't. Because for the first time in months, she doesn't feel like she's drowning. So what happens to Vincent? Emma asks. He learns a lesson. Alessandro's expression doesn't change. He learns that there are people in this city he cannot touch. People under protection. And when he violates that protection, there are consequences. What kind of consequences? The kind that makes him wish he'd never heard your name. Alessandro pulls out his phone. Tomorrow morning you see my doctor. He'll examine your leg. Order whatever tests you need. While you're doing that, I'll handle Vincent. Handle how? Alessandro looks at her. Really looks at her. And Emma sees something in his eyes she hasn't seen before. Not coldness. Something else. Something that might be rage, controlled and focused and absolutely deadly. That's not something you need to worry about, he says quietly. All you need to know is that Vincent Russo will never come near you or your daughter again. That's a promise. Promises don't mean much in my experience. Mine do. Alessandro moves toward the hallway. Get some sleep, Miss Cole. Tomorrow starts a new chapter, one where you're not fighting alone. He disappears down a different corridor, probably to his own room. Emma sits alone in the vast living room, surrounded by expensive furniture and city views, and the overwhelming sense that her life just changed in ways she can't fully comprehend. She limps back to Lily's room, climbing into the second twin bed. Her daughter is sprawled across her mattress, rabbit clutched tight, completely unaware that her mother just made a deal with the devil, or maybe not the devil, maybe something else, something more dangerous and more necessary. Emma closes her eyes. Tomorrow she'll worry about what she's gotten them into. Tomorrow she'll face doctors and tests, and whatever Alessandro means by handling Vincent. Tonight, for the first time in months, she sleeps without checking the locks 3 times, without jolting awake at every sound, without the constant fear that Vincent's men are outside, waiting. Because somewhere in this palatial apartment, Alessandro Santoro is making phone calls, setting plans in motion, unleashing whatever power he commands. And Vincent Russo, who thought he could terrorize a desperate woman without consequences, is about to learn exactly who he's been threatening. The city sleeps, the predators hunt, and Emma Cole, broken leg and crushing debt and all, has just found the most dangerous protector in New York. The morning comes too early. Emma wakes to sunlight streaming through windows she didn't close, in a bed she doesn't recognize. For a moment, panic seizes her chest. Then she remembers. Alessandro, the penthouse, safety. Lily is already awake, sitting cross-legged on her bed with her rabbit, staring at the unfamiliar room with uncertain eyes. "Morning, baby," Emma says, her voice rough. "I don't like it here," Lily whispers. "It's too quiet." Their apartment is never quiet. Sirens and shouting, and neighbors arguing through thin walls. This place is silent as a tomb, insulated from the city by money and elevation. "I know, but we're safe here." Emma sits up, immediately regretting it when her leg screams. The numbness is back, spreading from her hip to her toes. She can barely feel her foot. A knock on the door. Emma tenses, but it's just Alessandro's voice, calm and controlled. Breakfast is ready. Doctor's appointment is at 9. Emma struggles to her feet, using the nightstand for support. She's still wearing her waitress uniform from last night, wrinkled and stained with sauce from the dropped plate. She looks and feels like a disaster. In the main room, Alessandro sits at a dining table that could seat 12. He's wearing a different suit, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. 3 newspapers are spread before him. A woman Emma doesn't recognize, maybe 50 with kind eyes and an apron, is setting out plates of eggs and toast and fruit. "This is Rosa," Alessandro says without looking up. "She manages my household. Anything you need, ask her." Rosa smiles at Lily. "You must be hungry, little one. I made French toast. You like French toast?" Lily nods shyly, climbing into a chair that's too big for her. Emma sits beside her daughter, trying not to wince. Alessandro finally looks up from his newspaper. His eyes go to Emma's leg, which she's holding at an awkward angle to avoid pain. "How bad is it this morning?" he asks. "It's fine. Miss Cole." His voice carries that edge of command that makes argument pointless. "How bad?" "I can't feel my foot," Emma admits quietly. The numbness is spreading. Alessandro's jaw tightens. He pulls out his phone, typing rapidly. "I'm moving your appointment up. We're leaving in 20 minutes. I need to shower, change." 20 minutes, Alessandro repeats. "Rosa will help you. This can't wait." He's right. Emma knows he's right. But accepting help, accepting care, feels like admitting defeat. Like admitting she can't handle this alone. Except she can't. She hasn't been able to for months, maybe years. Rosa leads Emma to a bathroom larger than her living room. There are clothes laid out on the counter, soft pants with an elastic waist, a loose sweater, both in Emma's size. She wants to ask how Rosa knew, but the answer is obvious. Alessandro noticed everything. Her size, her limp, her fear. The shower is bliss and agony, hot water on sore muscles, but standing on her useless leg is torture. Emma washes quickly, refusing to let herself enjoy the expensive soap and thick towels. When she emerges, Rosa is waiting with a hairdryer. "Sit," the older woman says gently. "Let me help." Emma wants to refuse, but her leg is shaking, threatening to give out. She sits. Rosa dries her hair with practiced efficiency, then helps her dress. The kindness is almost worse than the pain. Emma isn't used to kindness, to people caring whether she's hurting. "Mr. Santoro is a good man," Rosa says quietly, buttoning Emma's sweater. "Cold sometimes, hard, but good where it counts." "How long have you worked for him?" 15 years. Since his wife died. Emma's head snaps up. "He was married?" "Long time ago. She was sick. Cancer. He took care of her until the end." Rosa's expression is sad. "After she died, he closed himself off, threw himself into work, building the restaurants, building his empire. But underneath, he's still the same man who sat by her bedside reading poetry for months." Emma doesn't know what to do with this information. The cold, controlled Alessandro, who makes threats with absolute certainty, doesn't match the image of a man reading poetry to his dying wife. Maybe people are more complicated than they seem. Maybe everyone contains multitudes. Rosa helps Emma back to the main room. Lily has finished her breakfast and is watching cartoons on a television that takes up an entire wall. Alessandro stands by the window, phone to his ear. "I don't care about his connections," Alessandro says, his voice ice. "I want him handled by tonight. No, not permanently. Just reminded of his place." A pause. "Good. Keep me updated." He ends the call, turning to Emma. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." The car ride is silent. Lily sits between them, sensing the tension. Alessandro doesn't speak, just types on his phone with focused intensity. They pull up to a medical building on the Upper East Side. No hospital. A private practice in a brownstone with a discreet plaque. Alessandro helps Emma out of the car, his hand steady under her elbow. Inside, there's no waiting room full of sick people. Just a receptionist who nods at Alessandro like she expected him. "Dr. Marchetti is ready for you." The examination room is quiet, professional. Doctor Marchetti is maybe 60, with silver hair and gentle hands. He doesn't ask Emma about insurance, doesn't mention payment. He just examines her leg with methodical care. "How long have you had these symptoms?" he asks, pressing on her spine. 3 weeks, since I fell." "And it's getting worse?" "Yes, doctor." Marchetti exchanges a look with Alessandro, who's standing in the corner like a guard. "We need an MRI immediately, possibly nerve damage. Could be a herniated disc compressing the spinal cord." "How bad?" Alessandro asks. "Won't know until we see the images, but based on her symptoms, she needs surgery. Soon." Dr. Marchetti looks at Emma. "Emma, you could lose function in that leg permanently if we don't address this." The words land like a bomb. Permanent. Surgery. Emma's mind races through the cost, tens of thousands. Maybe more. Money she doesn't have. Money she'll never have. "Do it," Alessandro says. "Whatever she needs. Today." "Alessandro, I can't afford. You're not paying." His voice is final. "Dr. Marchetti, schedule the MRI. If she needs surgery, schedule that too. I'll handle all costs." Emma wants to argue. "I want to refuse." But she can barely walk, and if she loses her leg function completely, she loses everything. Her job, her ability to take care of Lily, everything. "Okay," she whispers. "Okay." The MRI takes 2 hours. Emma lies perfectly still in the loud, claustrophobic machine while it takes pictures of her spine. Lily waits outside with Alessandro and Rosa, who appeared with snacks and coloring books. When it's over, Dr. Marchetti's face is grave. He pulls up images on a screen, Emma's spine in black and white. Even she can see the problem. A disc bulging out where it shouldn't, pressing against something important. "Herniated disc at L4, L5, doctor," Marchetti says. "Severe compression of the nerve root. That's why you're losing feeling. The nerve is being crushed." "Can you fix it?" Alessandro asks. "Yes. Microdiscectomy. We remove the portion of the disc that's compressing the nerve. Recovery is typically 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks without working. Without income." The panic must show on Emma's face because Alessandro's hand comes to rest on her shoulder, warm and steady. "When?" he asks Dr. Marchetti. "Tomorrow morning. The sooner we relieve that pressure, the better her chances of full recovery. Tomorrow. Surgery tomorrow." Emma's brain can't process it. "Do it," Alessandro says. "What does she need to prepare?" They spend the next hour going over pre-op instructions. No food after midnight. Someone needs to drive her, stay with her. She'll need help at home for weeks. Home. Emma doesn't even have a home to go back to. Not with Vincent's men watching her apartment. As if reading her mind, Alessandro says quietly, "You'll recover at my place. Rosa will help. I can't impose. You can. You will." Alessandro's eyes meet hers. "This isn't up for debate, Miss Cole. You're hurt, you need surgery, and you need somewhere safe to heal. I'm providing that. Accept it." Emma doesn't have the strength to argue. She nods, defeated and grateful and terrified all at once. They drive back to the penthouse in silence. Lily has fallen asleep against Emma's side, exhausted by stress and unfamiliar surroundings. Emma strokes her daughter's hair, wondering how they got here, how her life became a series of impossible choices. At the apartment, Rosa takes Lily to play in the guest room, while Alessandro leads Emma to his study. It's a room she hasn't seen before. Dark wood, leather chairs, a desk covered in papers, and a laptop. Alessandro closes the door, then turns to face her. The afternoon light cuts across his face, making him look older, harder. "I need you to understand something," he says, "about what's going to happen with Vincent Russo." Emma's stomach tightens. "What's going to happen?" "Tonight, Vincent is going to receive a visit from people who work with me. They're going to explain that you're under protection, that your debt is cleared, that if he or any of his men come near you again, there will be consequences." "What kind of consequences?" Alessandro's expression doesn't change, the permanent kind. "But it won't come to that. Vincent is a businessman. He understands cost-benefit analysis. When he realizes the cost of pursuing you outweighs any benefit, he'll back off. And if he doesn't, then I'll handle it personally." Alessandro's voice could freeze hell. But he will. Men, like Vincent, are bullies. They prey on the vulnerable because it's easy. When something becomes hard, when the risk gets too high, they move on to easier targets. Emma's throat is tight. "You're going to threaten him. I'm going to educate him. There's a difference." Alessandro moves to his desk, pulling out a folder. "While my people handle Vincent, you need to handle something else. This debt. I've had my accountant prepare documents formally clearing your obligation. $57,000, marked as paid in full. Vincent will receive a copy. You'll receive a copy. It's over. I can't let you pay. You're not." Alessandro opens the folder, showing her papers Emma doesn't understand. "I bought your debt from Vincent. For 40 cents on the dollar. He was happy to sell once he understood who was buying. Now I own the debt, and I'm forgiving. Legally. Completely." Emma stares at the papers. Numbers swim before her eyes. This should feel like salvation, like freedom. Instead, it feels like trading one debt for another. "Why?" she whispers. "Why are you doing all this?" Alessandro is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is softer than she's ever heard it. "Because 5 years ago, my wife was dying. Cancer. We had money for the best treatments, the best doctors. It didn't matter. She suffered anyway, died anyway." He looks out the window. But at least she had the chance to try. At least she didn't have to choose between treatment and keeping the lights on. He turns back to Emma. "You're a single mother working yourself to death for a daughter who needs you alive. You're drowning in debt because you dared to save your child's life. That's not right. That's not acceptable. So I'm fixing it." "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything. Just focus on your surgery tomorrow. On healing. On being there for Lily." Alessandro slides the folder across the desk. Everything else is handled. Emma takes the folder with shaking hands. Inside are documents that represent freedom, that represent a future where she's not constantly running from loan sharks in fear. "Thank you," she whispers. "I don't know how to repay. You don't. That's the point." Alessandro's voice returns to its usual controlled tone. "Now go rest. Surgery is at 7 a.m. Tomorrow. Rosa will make sure you're ready." Emma stands, her legs screaming. She makes it to the door before Alessandro's voice stops her. "Miss Cole?" She turns back. "You're safe now. Both of you. I need you to believe that." Emma meets his dark eyes, sees the absolute certainty there. For the first time in 2 years, she lets herself believe it. "I do," she says. "I believe you." She limps out of the study, leaving Alessandro alone with his papers and his promises, and whatever darkness he's about to unleash on Vincent Russo. In the guest room, Lily is building a tower with blocks Rosa found somewhere. Her daughter looks up, smiling. "Look, Mommy, I made it so tall." Emma sits beside her, pulling Lily close. "It's beautiful, baby. Are we going to stay here? For a little while. Until Mommy gets better. I like Rosa. She's nice. Mr. Santoro is still scary, though." Emma almost laughs. "Yeah, he is. But he's on our side. That's good." Lily returns to her blocks. "We need someone scary on our side." Emma watches her daughter play, something loosening in her chest. The fear that's lived there for months, that's made every breath hurt, starts to ease. Tomorrow she'll have surgery. Tomorrow Alessandro's people will visit Vincent Russo. Tomorrow everything changes. But tonight, for the first time in longer than she can remember, Emma Cole doesn't feel alone in the fight. She has a protector now. A dangerous, complicated man who makes promises with absolute certainty and backs them up with power she's only beginning to understand. And as the sun sets over Central Park, painting Alessandro's penthouse in shades of gold, Emma finally lets herself hope. Hope that they'll be okay. Hope that monsters can be stopped. Hope that sometimes the scariest person in the room is the one who saves you. The surgery goes smoothly. Emma wakes in a private recovery room with Alessandro sitting in the chair beside her bed, reading a newspaper like he has nowhere else to be. Lily, Emma's voice is rough from anesthesia, with Rosa, making cookies. Alessandro folds his paper. Dr. Marchetti says the surgery was successful. 6 weeks recovery, then physical therapy. 6 weeks. Emma closes her eyes, feeling the fog of painkillers. For once, the future doesn't terrify her. That evening, Alessandro's phone rings. He steps into the hallway, but Emma hears fragments through the door. Understood the message? Won't be a problem. Good. When he returns, something in his expression has shifted. Lighter. Satisfied. Vincent Russo has agreed to cease all contact, Alessandro says simply. Your debt is cleared. He won't bother you again. Emma should ask what happened, what threats were made, but she's too tired, too relieved. Thank you. You've thanked me enough. Alessandro pulls his chair closer. Now we talk about after you recover. After? You can't go back to waitressing, not with your back. But you're organized, professional, good with people. He pauses. I need a manager for my new restaurant in Brooklyn. Salary, benefits, reasonable hours. Interested? Emma stares. A real job, security, a future beyond survival. Yes, she whispers. Yes, I'm interested. Alessandro almost smiles. Good. Rosa's already moving your things from your apartment to a place I own in Brooklyn. 2 bedrooms, safe neighborhood, good schools for Lily. Rent is reasonable. Alessandro, this isn't charity, Miss Cole. It's an investment. Good employees are hard to find. But his eyes are warm. Besides, Lily has informed me I'm too scared to live alone. Apparently, I need people around to make me less intimidating. Emma laughs despite everything. She's not wrong. 3 months later, Emma stands in the kitchen of Alessandro's new restaurant, reviewing schedules. Her leg is strong again. The debt is history. Lily loves her new school. Vincent Russo left New York entirely. Alessandro's people were very convincing. Alessandro appears in the doorway, watching Emma work. Everything ready for tonight's opening? Perfect. Emma looks up, meeting his eyes. Thank you. For everything. You've earned it. Alessandro's voice is soft. You survived. You fought. You protected your daughter. All I did was even the odds. Emma thinks about that first terrible night, dropping that plate, her life crumbling. How Alessandro appeared like something from a dark fairy tale, dangerous but necessary. Sometimes the scariest person in the room really is the one who saves you. Come on, Alessandro says. Let's open this restaurant. We have work to do. Emma follows him into their future hard-won, complicated, but finally, blessedly safe.